Gentlemen, let's talk, shall we? Let's pick up where we left off. In my previous video, I went over exactly what does it take for the average American to become a millionaire in his or her lifetime. But at this point, I want to kind of make something clear. Before I ever studied investments or knew any better about retirement or savings or investing, really retirement seems like an abstract thing for most, especially in their 20s. A big thing for me was, okay, you can put money aside, that makes sense, but how do you withdraw money when you have, $1 million, multi-million dollar net worth? Now let me tell you guys a little bit of a secret. This math on how to figure out how to pull from retirement, what's your appropriate salary, and all this is actually really, really simple. In fact, simpler than probably the last video that we went over. And now let's go over what that exactly looks like. And we'll use the same averages as previously, just to show you guys and to stick with the theme that the average American can indeed do this. So in the last video, we went over how the average American, if they do the very minimum, then they should be able to have $2.5 million at the age of retirement in investments. Now this was going off of the S&P 500's average return every year of 10%. Now this is going to be actually our baseline to figure out how to pull and how much to pull from retirement. So to start off, you've been receiving 10% more every year of your investment. So let's say you just decide to actually withdraw that 10% every year. That would be around $250,000 every year of an annual salary. Now that's not going to be our salary. That's something you can do, but it's not suggested at all. Because one specific thing that's not being calculated is inflation. Inflation historically has been around 3.5% every year. That means that your money is 3.5% less valuable year over year. So when considering pulling from retirement, what we want to do is take our baseline of 10% and deduct it from the amount of inflation. Now, a lot of people actually use, instead of 3.5% or 4%, they'll use 3% because they say, and there seems to be some indicators showing that actually inflation is slowing down a little bit more year over year. So with our average return being 10% every year, let's use 3% for our inflation. So what we do is very simple math. We deduct 10% of your return minus inflation. Now 10% minus 3% is 7%. So that would be technically the safe amount that you can withdraw from retirement every year while allowing your account to grow and compensate for inflation. So the average American can actually pull safely 7% from their retirement account at the age of retirement. Now 7% is around $175,000 as a yearly salary. And for most, that's a pretty good salary. Now, you have to realize that this is way better than Social Security that we're probably not going to ever see. Millennials, at least, will never see. That is over 8 times the amount of Social Security. If the average American, just takes care of their investments and puts 10% away and actually withdraws minus inflation, then that's just ridiculous. That's insane. That's why you should start investing now and start learning these things earlier on. Now, this is something I would extend to you guys, a challenge. Expect the worst case scenario. Don't expect that S&P 500 is going to do what it's always done, even though that's historically what we go off of. And also don't assume that inflation is going to go down. This is just being ignorant. So if we can allow ourselves to compensate and hope for the absolute worst, and then let's say at the end of it, it did 10% or 12% returns every year and you were expecting 8, that means you can either pull more every year from retirement safely whilst it still is growing, or what you can do instead is just pull what you were originally wanting to do and allow that investment to even multiply more and more every year. Expect the worst, but hope for the best. Again, my name is Jacob Haynes. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I could really use some more subscribers, so hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you kind of lost context here on what we're talking about, you can look at my last video to to check that out on how the average American can become a millionaire in their lifetime based off of the information that I found. So again, if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, if you have any questions or video suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll see you there. Thanks so much, guys.